Frank Brassell is my name, and I'm a Fairtax advocate. I'm making a series of videos that I hope will explain the Fairtax in terms that you can relate to, you can understand, and how enacting the Fairtax will positively affect the whole country and the way it runs. Now, I'm 61 years old, blah blah. I run a business, own it. Other than that, I'm just a guy. But I've spent a lot of time studying the Fairtax because when I heard about it, and that was when Mike Huckabee was running for president, he almost got the nomination. Why? Based on his support of the Fairtax. And he explained it pretty well, but people are going, oh, Mike Huckabee, he's a preacher. We can't have him. If we'd have got him, 8 years ago, we'd be talking a whole different game right now. And, he'd probably be the president right now. No, you can't have 3 terms. Sorry. Anyway, the Fairtax is a consumption tax. Now, it's completely different from the income tax, and so I'm making these videos to point out the advantages of this over the current system, because the advantages to the individual, to business, to the country in general are huge. It's like nothing that has ever been done. It's that big. It's like the Second Amendment. It's something that's so important. It's like the First Amendment. It's something that's so important that if we can do this, we will usher in a new era of prosperity and good times, and it's going to make everybody's life easier. Okay, that said, I'm trying to do this kind of quick. So pretty much everything I say, I'm winging it. I'm not reading off a piece of paper. Once in a while I might. But it's probably just bullet points. I like to have room to say what the heck I feel. Now, I'm not going for production values. I'm not going to bother combing my hair. I'm not going to change my shirt. I'm not going to put on a tie. I look good in a tie, though. Wore one to a wedding not long ago. First time in like 20 years. I'm not going to put on a tie. I'm not going to shine my shoes. I'm not going to get a pretty backdrop. I'm in the storage room in my restaurant, See the stuff on the shelf there. And what I want you to know is that some of these videos are going to be very broad-based. In other words, they're going to talk about a whole bunch of different aspects of the Fairtax and aspects of how the Fairtax is different from what we have now, and how it's different from what they're proposing, and how it will affect not only what happens here in the United States, but it will affect our trade globally and just a whole bunch of other stuff. So I want you to watch these. I want you to share them, because the only way this can happen. Now, if you want to watch them and watch a bunch of them and then share them, that's fine. You don't have to share the first one. If you go, oh, I don't know about this. Look, I'm telling you. Like I say, I'm just a guy. I'm like you. If you're not part of the establishment, part of the group of people that thinks government can fix everything. Government can't. But if we fix this, then we have a much better chance of actually affecting for our own lives, making a better life for ourselves. It's just that simple. Because everybody will pay taxes, but everybody will pay less taxes. Now, my name's probably attached to this somewhere. Frank Brassell. That's me on Facebook. There's probably another one somewhere in the United States, so you probably have to find the one that shows a guy playing a guitar. And that's me. Fairtax.org is a site you can go and you can get a bunch of information there. That's official site. Fairtax 2017 is a Facebook group that has some of the best minds on the planet about the Fairtax, and if you have questions, you can ask them there, and you'll get answers that have many different minds contributing. And the thing is, this is like enacting prohibition. It's going to take all the people saying, we want this. And it's more like repealing prohibition. Because it's still going to take a whole bunch of people saying, we want this. But it's also a freedom. Right now, everybody's a slave because of their income. When we tax people, for instance, when we tax soda pop, it's because we don't want you to drink soda pop. When we tax cigarettes, it's because we don't want you to smoke cigarettes. When we tax alcohol, we don't want you to drink alcohol. Well, we also tax working, and guess what's happened? Less people are working. There's a bunch of people out there that don't even have a job. Well, how can they be paying income tax if they don't have any income? The Fairtax doesn't worry about that because it doesn't tax your income. You can make it any way you want. I don't care. Steal it. Whatever. But it's a consumption tax, which means it's a sales tax. And when you go buy stuff, you'll be paying your taxes. Now, there's a whole bunch of features of it that I'm going to be going through in these videos that will explain that even though it's a sales tax, it doesn't kill off the poor. Because it's set up to not kill off the poor. Why would you kill off the poor, right? All the things that are inherent in the fair tax are made to make it run smoothly and sweetly. Sweetly is the best way I can put it. Now, this thing has been introduced into Congress for, I don't know, 15 years, maybe longer at this point. When it was first introduced, it was bipartisan. It was a Democrat and a Republican, and people worked on this and got it all fixed up, figured out, and they introduced it into Congress, and everybody kind of said, hey, well, that's something worth looking at. But then Congress came to their senses and said, wait a minute, if we do this, we'll no longer be able to get rich as congressmen from messing with the tax code, from selling loopholes, from selling exemptions, from doing favors. We won't be able to get the giant campaign donations for doing a little of this and a little of that for this industry or this company or this group. We have the IRS. That's a great thing. We can do anything we want with it. And in fact, it even got to the point where an administration used the IRS to destroy what's known as a Tea Party, or at least to try, by not giving them tax-exempt status, by standing in their way at all times. Now, you may or may not like the Tea Party, but at a certain point, because that precedent has been set, even if you were on the opposite side of the Tea Party, sooner or later, somebody's going to take your organization and mess with it. And that's the IRS. The fair tax causes the IRS to go away. Now, I want to tell you, as you see these videos, if you start to understand the fair tax, I'm sure, I've almost never had a face-to-face conversation with somebody about the fair tax and answer their questions as they ask them that they haven't walked away going, well, why don't we do that? I'll tell you why we don't do it. Because Congress can't get rich if we do it. So, counting on them to do the right thing, it's a fool's errand. It's got to be you. I don't know where to put my hand to get it in the screen. You and I. Okay, I'm going to do my part. I'm going to call my congressman. I'm going to call my senators. I'm going to send letters to the editor, letters to Trump, letters to... Hey, if I was talking about, let's legalize marijuana, oh, there'd be 100,000 people that'd go, yeah, yeah, let's do that. I mean, as soon as I run out, and can get my thoughts together. If I was saying, let's make sure that we can have abortion, and we'll make it safe and available, but rare. Only we're not going to worry about the rare part. We're just going to make it safe and available. Cheap, too, because, if people got their way, they would have the government pay for it. Well, just like that doesn't work, on the other side of that issue are a whole bunch of people that don't want that. So that one doesn't get as much traction. But when somebody comes and says they're going to take away the Second Amendment, hundreds of thousands of people jump on their computers, jump on their phones, write letters, send emails, what have you, and all of a sudden you look out there and the only places where they have strict gun control laws, they have two other things. They have Democrats in charge, and they have people shooting each other in the streets constantly. Might not be such a good idea to get down on that too hard. You start banning guns, and pretty soon, bad guys have guns. You don't. Anyway, I digress, which I do a lot. Anyway, the point is, the Fairtax is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. It gets rid of the IRS. It gets rid of you having to file your taxes. It gets rid of you being audited and getting that letter from the IRS that says, by the way, we went over your tax form and you owe us another $2,600. And you go, well, how'd that happen? And I said, well, somebody put a decimal point in the wrong place or forgot about you can't deduct your dog as a, dependent or something like that. A lot of times it's a mistake. A lot of times it's just people getting caught because they're cheating. Why are they cheating? Because it's horrifically unfair and it's horrifically easy to cheat. So if you're a decent person and you are legitimate and you're paying your taxes, you're subsidizing all the people out there that are cheating. So go to the Fairtax. It's a consumption tax. You go to the store, you buy things, you've paid your taxes. It's a sales tax. Simple enough and easy to administer because people like me, businesses, we will become the tax collectors. But it's probably okay because we're already tax collectors. We already collect sales taxes in most states. So it's not something that, oh no, we're going to be tax collectors. How are we going to act? No, we already do that. The only thing is your check that you get from your employer, the FICA won't be taken out of it. The federal income tax deduction won't be taken out of it. So you will get more money. Just the FICA is 7.5% raise for you. Okay, so that's good. Then you'll get more money, and I'll explain that in other videos because the government is going to give every household, every legal household, some money to offset some of the taxes because pretty much everything's taxed. Now, instead of taxing this and not taxing that, taxing this and not taxing that, and making a big complicated thing like we've got now, they just tax everything, and then they give you a certain amount of money back to reimburse you for the taxes you spend on like food and stuff like that. Anyway, I want you to watch these videos, and I would really like you to share them because the only way this can happen is by a flood of citizens, you and I, taking this to the Congress and saying, this is what we want. We don't want to just rehash what we've always had, the thing that is basically the thing that is causing people to not work because they're getting taxed because they work. We want them to work. And there's jobs coming back now at a rate that they haven't in a long time. There will be jobs for people, but we have to incentivize them to get off their dead butt and do it. And giving them control of their finances is one of the things that will do that. When you're not taxing income, it doesn't matter. You could make $1 billion and pay 1% tax. Now that's not likely, but theoretically it's possible, and somebody will do it because they won't buy anything. They'll buy it all the year before. Whatever. I don't know. The point is, it's almost impossible to get away with cheating it because, first of all, you need two people. You need the business and you need the consumer. They have to both be in on it. Well, if you do that, it's a good possibility you could get brought up on RICO charges, which is when you collude to do bad things. So that's not good. That's a bad deal. Anyway, the point is, it's hard to beat. You can't beat it, It's just a sales tax. Just like in your state, if your state has sales tax, you go to the store, you buy stuff, and that part of your taxes is paid. Now, California, we have to have a sales tax and a personal tax because we want a bullet train. We want, stuff that is unneeded. We want to pay huge pensions. Okay, that's California. I'm sorry. I live here. I love it here. But, man, I wish I could get somebody else in charge. But somebody else should be in charge at some point. Now, whether we can bring it back from the brink or not, I don't know. But it sure is terrible. Anyway, the point is, we have a sales tax. And none of us really thinks about that. You just go buy stuff and that part of it. But when it comes time to filing your taxes for your state tax, well, you have to start thinking about it. And now you're thinking about taxes. Why? Because you don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. And I'm going to say this over and over again in different videos, so get used to it. Part of what's wrong with this tax system is you cannot reliably predict it unless you're very poor. And then you can figure, well, I'm going to get everything I put in back. Well, with a Fairtax, you can do that too. If you're at the poverty level, you get everything you paid in taxes rebated back to you. And I'll explain that in greater detail in another video. The point I want to make is this will change everything. Lobbyists. About half of the lobbying that goes on, the crooked deals, have to do with the tax code. Get rid of the tax code, get rid of the lobbyists. They don't have the influence they once did. Because Congress doesn't have the influence over the tax code that they once did. The great thing about the Fairtax, you can raise it, or you can lower it, or you can raise the poverty rate, or you can lower the poverty rate. But you do that for everyone, not just you, not just me, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, everybody. Because you can't single out stuff, you realize how much corruption you cut out of it? Right now, they can go pass a tax thing that gives one company a tax break because, we really need this company in such and such a spot, so we're going to give them a tax break. Or we like this industry because it's cleaner, so we're going to give them a tax break. Well, you may think that's all right, but it's not, because some other industry is taking it in the shorts, and you may not benefit from that other industry that they're giving the break to. So why would you want to subsidize it? If you're going to subsidize it, subsidize it. But don't give them tax breaks. See, the Fairtax does not tax business. And I know you guys are going to go nuts over that, but I've already got a video that's out there about why that's a bad idea, taxing business, because you pay that tax. You may not realize it, but if you watch that other video, you'll understand why you pay all the taxes that are levied on business, because they don't have a special pot of money. It all comes from their profits, and they bake in enough profits to cover the taxes. So anytime you tax business, you cost yourself money. Anyway, watch these videos. If you see something in them that says, yeah, I could see that, and I think you will, then I want you to share them as often as you can. Share them in places that you normally wouldn't share stuff. Go on to a congressman's Facebook page and share it in the comments there. This needs to get out to everybody. This needs to become kitchen table talk, and then we have a chance to do it. But until you understand it, it's just noise in the air. Once you understand it, then you realize that what I'm talking about here is a complete renovation of how we finance our government. And it is based on you getting value out of every time you pay taxes. Understand that? You buy something, that's when you pay your taxes. If you don't buy anything, you don't pay any taxes. So if you don't get any value, you don't have to pay taxes. Investments are not taxed. Used goods are not taxed. Education expenses are not taxed. Everything else is. Now, taxes aren't taxed. But certain things you will find and you'll say, well, that's taxed. Well, the other thing that isn't taxed is any money that you spent on untaxable goods. So the things that you already owe money on, all those loans you have, you're going to spend that money throughout the year, but those things are not taxable. So you're not going to pay taxes on that money that's going to pay your loans. See, under the income tax, you might get a mortgage interest deduction, which is this much. You take your income, you lower it by this much, and you say, oh, look, I saved my mortgage deduction. Look what that did. That's great. During the Fairtax, if you were going on an income basis, out of your income comes all your mortgage payment, because you're not paying taxes on that. Out of your income comes your car payment, because you've already done it. If you buy a new car, you'll have Fairtax, you'll pay that. It'll be in your loan, but you won't get taxed based on the fact that you made the money that you're going to pay for it next month. You've already paid the tax. So the money you pay next month and the month after and the month after and the month after and the month after, you're not spending on taxable goods, therefore you're not going to get taxed on it. So all that money that you're already spending on things that you already own or things that you might buy and pay the tax at the time, in other words, I'm talking about loans. Once you get that loan, the money you use to pay that loan will not be available to buy taxed goods. You've already paid the tax. And so now you're paying that back. And that money doesn't get taxed again. If it was income tax, hey, you made that money, so we're taxing it. You can't deduct your credit card interest. What are you thinking? You can't deduct your auto loan interest. Only your mortgage deduction. It's only that much. Anyway, look for these videos, watch them, learn about it, and share this out to people, because we need to do this. And if we do it right now, it sounds like the tax deal they're talking about might blow up. Well, there's still a chance for this, but there will never be a chance as good as right now. Maybe 3 months ago would have been better, but we are where we are. We can't do it any sooner than this, and we better not do it any later. I thank you for listening to this, and it's my prayer that I can reach you and give you enough information to make a valid decision. Thank you.